My vengeance ends now.
My brothers, we were forged in victory. A victory that ended the Great War and brought forth the reign of Mount Olympus. Born from the depths of the underworld. Rooted in the River of Souls. Our mountain emerged out of the chaos. As it grew, so too did the might of the Olympians. We created a world of peace, a world of prosperity, a world that lives in the shadow and safety of my mountain. A mountain that has come to be the absolute measure of strength and power. Now, on this day, that power is to be tested. The mortal Kratos seeks to destroy all that I have wrought. Brothers, put aside the petty grievances that have splintered us for so long. We will unite. We will stand together. And I will wipe out this plague. Olympus will prevail.
CR Cole, welcome to the stream. And yes, God of War 3 is indeed goated. Wait for a few more people to pop in, then I will explain how this stream works. Then I can also turn down the fucking game. Ladin, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Chill Scrub, welcome to the stream. Let me turn down the fucking game volume. Oh, I hate streaming from PS4.
Zeus! Your son has returned. I bring the destruction of Olympus!
Alright, perfect. Options. Let me turn on the audio. Perfect. Turn that shit all the way the fuck down. So, now we have a few heads in here. The way that this is going to work. As you see at the bottom, the message says, drop your PSN in the chat. If you looked at my YouTube community page, you know how this is going to operate. Essentially, if it's first come, first serve, you can drop your PlayStation in the chat. You can come in, speak to the people, make sure your voice is shared, and speak your opinion about Tekken 8's story, or about the story of Tekken overall. You can ask me questions about it. And, yeah, that's basically how it's going to work. Nothing complicated. Falcon, welcome to the stream. But yeah, this stream is pretty much just like the last one. Oh my god. Fucking Red, really? Where are my mods at? Red, get out my stream, bruh. And you have the exact same at. How lame do you have to be? Oh, God. Hide user on this channel. Fuck's sake. Red, go spend time with your daughter, bruh. Of all the channels, you come onto a lore channel to mess with me. You're weird, nigga. Okay, but yes. Yeah, essentially just whenever you're ready, drop your PSN in the chat. And it's basically first come, first serve. I'm going to be very open with the questions this time because I left things very ambiguous. But because I won't be able to upload for a hot minute because I'm bombarded with school and work, ask me any question you want. I will be honest. I could talk y'all niggas heads off about this shit. So ask me any. It could be about the DLC. It could be about the base game. Matter of fact, let me make Falcon a mod. Falcon, you're on mod duty. Add as moderator. There you go. Give that boy the power.
Something has me. I cannot move, Kratos. Free me!
I wonder if people are going to be ready for what I'm going to say in this stream, because I know a lot of people saw the community post where I said that I like T8 story, which I still do, but I hope a lot of you guys haven't been conflating me saying I like the game with me saying that the game is well written, because Tekken 8, you know, respectfully, sorry, not sorry, that game is astoundingly poorly written. And I don't know, I imagine I pissed off a lot of people by saying that, so. This is the exact reason I put the game on normal difficulty. I ain't dealing with this shit on chaos mode. You got me fucked up. Gee, I sure hope the YouTube chat didn't freeze. This is why PSN streaming is the best. This shit just never works. And make sure y'all tell me how the mic audio is too, if you need me to turn shit up or turn shit down. Because I remember I was watching the last stream, it was quiet as hell. Mic audio sounds good? Alright, thank you. Big ups. Pop, pop. I made sure to fully charge my controller. I just got fully hit by it. I have magic though. I got hit by it again. Alright, so I take it that was Red and his butt buddies. Those were the 10 people watching. So hi Red, bye Red. Weird ass nigga. You got Mr. Krabs' Hades in the background. GT Rising, welcome to the stream. Alright, so I hate to disappoint. Thoughts on Ninja Gaiden? I don't know anything about that franchise. And I regret to inform you, but I'm not here to answer questions about Ninja Gaiden. Psycho Reaper, welcome to the stream. Oh, no. Red was just masquerading as chill scrub. God of War, thoughts on God of War 3? It is awesome. One of my favorite games, but yeah, for you niggas wondering, if you weren't here for earlier, basically the way that this stream is going to work is there's an opinion you have on Tekken 8 that you want to give to everybody, because everyone has told me in the comment sections what they think about that game's story. You can come in and speak your piece, or if you have a specific question you want to ask me, you can come in and you can come into a party chat, just drop your PlayStation in the chat, and you can ask me. Because that Jin video that a lot of people want me to finish is not going to be ready for a while. And I imagine that a few people want to pick my brain about T8. Because I have points to bring up that a lot of people have not brought up, so. Massive project? That is correct. Big ass fucking project, nigga. Let me go on mute for a sec. Just CR Cole, if you have a place, preferably since I'm already on PlayStation, just drop your PlayStation in the chat. If you have a PS4, PS5. But if you don't, and you still want to speak your piece, you can drop your Discord. I can drop in my Discord in the chat, if that makes it easier for people. Because I imagine that a few people, not everyone has a PlayStation. God of War is peak? Most definitely. Especially classic God of War. I mean, Kratos was on demon time. Wait, you gave your PS5? Hold on. Alright, hold on. Where's your, what's your PS5, Aladdin? Because it's easier if you do it on PS5. I can start up a party chat right now. Because if I have the Discord playing from my phone or laptop, it's not going to sound as good. Name is Mladen7 and 69 on Discord. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna invite your party chat. I'm gonna invite your PlayStation thing right now. You are invited.
Then until you get some
I have invited your PlayStation account, so just join in. Make sure your mic is of decent audio quality, and make sure your voice is also shared so everyone can hear you. Otherwise, it just sounds like I'm talking to myself. And of course, if none of you do, if for those of you who don't have a PlayStation or Discord, if it's just easier for you to ask me questions, you feel free to drop a question in the stream chat either. Whatever is more comfortable for you.
Harry spotted.
Hold on, let me also do this. I am now appearing online too, so you should be able to see any invite I send you. You didn't get a notification? Hold on, I'll send it. I'll send you another one because I was appearing offline.
No, I'm sorry. Someone just left me a voicemail. She said that she can help cover shifts on Wednesdays and Thursdays if we don't have if we're light on girls.
Alright, sorry. Because I was appearing offline, so maybe now you'll get the notification. I mean, if it's still glitching out for you, you can just ask me a question in the chat. It goes for everyone here. Whichever works better. I really got hit by that. I didn't even do that.
She'd be good with that. She'd do that. How long do you work in class? Hold on. You know they had on.
Isn't
You
it?
know, Mask of the Phantasm.
Is your PlayStation? Oh my God.
Like,
challenge me, mortal? A god of Olympus?
A true warrior does not hide, Poseidon! Leave the sea and face me!
You have disrespected the gods for the last time, Kratos.
Jump to my hand!
Alright, cool.
I know.
Alright, cool.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Is your voice shared?
Wait, I think it should be.
Once again, remember, it's
Yeah. So stream, so you all in the chat, can you hear him?
Hello, 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 hello.
That's been versus compensation.
I don't think
That you
my
need to,
voice shouldn't be
that's
shared.
all you need to look at.
Wait. Share your voice.
Then you know what?
Okay, I allowed it now.
If it's always
Now it should be fine.
terms, then no.
Alright, let me
Like,
test.
hello, hello, hello.
So yeah, go ahead, test and speak.
No, because there's also that psychological.
Yeah, you can hear me in chat now, in
Alright,
stream
perfect.
now.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Alright, so is there a specific, I guess you got 5 minutes, go ahead, speak your piece about the story
Yeah,
of Tekken,
okay,
ask
so
me
I
a
have like a
question.
few things about the Tekken story. So for some context first, I'm like completely new to Tekken, right?
Alright.
Like I bought the game like a month ago, and now I've played all the previous games, like their story mode and shit and everything. And what's it called? So there's like a few notions that really annoy me about this fandom, and I understand them from like a longer player perspective, but for somebody who's new, like they just make sense and shit, right? Like I in chat, I mentioned Heihachi, right? 1 second. Sorry. So in chat, I mentioned
You're good,
Heihachi
you're good.
already, right? So his revival, I think
Yes.
actually it fits and it makes sense because so Kazuya in Tekken 7, right? Like character-wise, he's like arguably at one of his worst points, right? Like he's one of the biggest pieces of shit possible, right? And the one thing consistent throughout Kazuya's portrayal, right, is that despite like him being like a horrible piece of shit because of what he went through, he still has a slither of humanity in him, right? That's like what Jun sees in him and shit. and I think it wouldn't have made sense that Kazuya, in that state in which he was in Tekken 7, that he would have like gotten to win against Heihachi, right? Like what kind of message or what kind of thematic purpose would that serve, right? Would basically be my point. Hold up, can you say something real quick? Because I feel like, I don't know, the
No,
party
no,
is
no.
being weird
I've
right
been
now.
listening to
Okay,
the
okay.
whole, I've been listening.
Okay,
No, it's
okay,
just
all
that
good. All
no,
good.
I couldn't
Yeah,
hear
yeah.
people in the background. That's it.
All good, all good. So yeah, I don't think that would have made sense if Kazuya got to win there. So what I think is going to happen in Tekken 9, right? I think I commented this already. Is like they are clearly setting up like a redemption path for him, and then in Tekken 9 he might be able to finally defeat Heihachi, but properly because he will try to redeem
Because he
himself and
growed as a
shit, right?
person. So he's going.
Yeah.
Essentially, Kazuya's arc, in your perspective, Kazuya's arc is going to be a retread, in which Kazuya won't redeem himself by giving into his anger and hatred. He's
Yeah.
going to redeem himself by at first facing his past and growing
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
way that Jin did. So it's essentially going to be, in your eyes, it's going to be the retread of Jin's
Yeah.
arc.
Yeah, like it would be
the
parallel
perfect
to
way
Jin's arc
Yeah.
because like if that wouldn't happen, like what's the point of characters like Jun? What's the point of bringing her back, right? What's the point of Heihachi surviving? And so I feel like that would make a lot more sense. And that, like when looking at it that way, I don't see why people have like such a huge issue with Heihachi surviving, narratively speaking. Although I do understand, as I said, I'm like completely new to Tekken, right? But I would understand if people like waited like almost 10 years, right? Where they were told Heihachi is definitively dead. He is definitively for sure he is dead. And then he comes back. You know, that I understand how that would be annoying, but narratively I still think it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing, this is like a smaller thing, but I swear people mention Asuka being like Asuka Kazama and shit, and it's like, yeah, it's like wasted potential, but oh my god, every single story video has to mention that, and they act as if it's like this big revelation and constructive criticism, like, oh my god, she never even talks to Jin, and it's like, who gives a fuck, man? She's a side character at most, right? And yeah, she could have been bigger, and she probably was intended to be bigger, but it's not like her not being bigger makes the story actively worse. It's just like people want the story to be something different, which okay, yeah, I get that from like an emotional point, but it's not like actually constructive criticism to say, oh, well, why doesn't the story focus so much on her when she has the name in her? It's like I could be picking any semi-relevant character and say, oh, this guy has been in the game for so long, and actually he should serve this huge narrative purpose, but he doesn't. And like, but people, and it would be fair if people did that with other characters too, but people really, really rile up on her, and I think it's just because it's like an easy point to make, you know?
Say again?
Like, basically, with Asuka, right?
Yep.
People really rile up on that point because it's just very easy to make, like a
Yes.
quick criticism,
quick
even though
jab.
it doesn't say anything about the narrative of the games, you know? Because, yeah, she's irrelevant and that's annoying, but that's basically where the conversation should end.
Yeah. So my perspective on Asuka. So you and I do share a perspective in that I don't give a shit about Asuka as a character.
Yeah.
You know, I don't
Yeah.
care. Me personally, I don't think Asuka being useless is the real problem with the narrative. There are way more
Exactly.
things I can rip apart at Tekken 8 for. You know,
Yeah.
and Asuka in a way would be one of those things, but I wouldn't say in regards to it that her not being useful is the problem. It would be more so how she's written in conjunction with Jin's character arc. I apologize for
Yeah.
everyone in the stream, by the way, because people are on the phone. So give me like 2 seconds.
All good, all good.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
now that I can speak clearly, the problem that, yeah, if I were to criticize Asuka in Tekken 8, I would criticize how her character is written in conjunction with Jin's arc. But
Yeah.
with
And
that being,
I agree with that
yeah,
part, yeah.
So yeah, let me finish. With that being said, I completely get why people are pissed off though, because it is wasted potential, and you have to look at it as such as that when you look at the amount of screen time that Asuka had within the story mode, and it's
Yeah.
just it is just wasted on the played out Asuka and Lily gag. I'm thinking this
Yeah.
is time that could have been better utilized to either developing the characters, or you could have done something, but instead you took the easy way out, and this is a large problem with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
writing in Tekken 8. You take the easy way out because that's what you know how to do.
Yeah.
So essentially,
And see, I agree with that. Like, I agree that's a fair criticism, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like there is such a disproportionate, like, you can literally watch any Tekken story video,
Yeah.
right? And let's say the video is 10 minutes long, right?
then they'll find
like
a way to
two
bring
to
up
th-
Asuka. Yeah.
2 to 3 minutes will be just about Asuka, and it's like, bro, the story is so much bigger than this one character, and it's
I
like
mean,
you
yeah,
have
but
other
the-
characters that you could bring up as well,
the
you know?
point overall is, I think people's point overall is it's the fact that she should have been more useful.
Yeah.
Because why would you even
No,
establish
yeah.
her having these powers if nothing comes of it?
For sure. Yeah.
That's the main thing. But I completely agree with you. I don't give a shit about Asuka. I was never invested in
Yeah.
the character. But I'm not going to take that away from people who are invested in the character. Asuka, Existify, Lily, pretty much, yeah. On your point about
Yeah.
Heihachi, what's
Yeah.
interesting to me is this is the way you need to look at it. So, for instance, I'm a big, anyone who knows me knows that I'm into Legacy of Kain, right? I mentioned Legacy of Kain within my
Yeah,
Tekken
yeah,
7
yeah.
video. In a point at the end of Legacy of Kain Defiance, Raziel the character of Raziel makes the ultimate sacrifice
Yeah.
to go inside the Soul Reaver sword, and he will become the ravenous spirit who is imprisoned in the sword for the rest of eternity. He will go
Yeah.
insane. All he wants to do is consume souls. And through Raziel's death, that was his way of redeeming himself in his human life when he was a Seraphim, when he was a member of the Seraphim, slaughtering fledgling vampires,
Yeah.
destroying the world, this, that, and the third. If after Legacy of Kain Defiance came out, say the original planned Legacy of Kain Dark Prophecy game came out, and immediately after you make this big, grandiose deal of Kain and Raziel, the Soul Reaver and the Scion of Balance, they finally come together and they work with each other. If you undo Raziel's death in the last game, you essentially wasted everything that his arc was leading up to, which was the sacrifice to go and become the spirit imprisoned within the Soul Reaver blade. And that's the exact same problem with Tekken 7. The issue with Heihachi's return isn't just that he's come back multiple times within the games and has just become repetitive.
Yeah, of course.
It's also the fact that Tekken 7 story mode retroactively changed the entire story and a thematic weight of Tekken. Because it went from, I'm going to throw my son off the cliff, and I'm going to test his strength, to I'm a tragic man who doesn't understand that I cause a lot of my own problems. I create the very devils I want to fight against. You essentially change the entire history of Tekken just for Heihachi's emotional death, and you undid it in the very next game. And the problem is, Tekken 8's one of the main themes of Tekken 8 is moving on from your past. That's what Jin's character arc is. So it's contradictive, and nothing new with Heihachi is going to be done. And the problem is, with Heihachi's return now, they've also damaged previous games within the series because they now establish. Because one of my criticisms of Tekken 7 was, why didn't Heihachi use his multi-billion-dollar company Science Labs on Kazuya to test if he had the devil? Now, you tell me that he had slaughtered an entire clan of devils, and you didn't think to do any test experiments on them. You didn't think to use Reina for Heihachi's plan in Tekken 4 to create a new life form with the devil gene in conjunction with Ogre's blood. That's the issue with Heihachi's return. It's contradictory.
Okay, but I don't know if so I get the point with Reina, but it's like they obviously didn't think of her there, at that point, and even then you can just explain that she's like a bastard child, like Lars at some point, and he just.
So the Tekken Archive, so you're new to the series, so I'm not expecting you to know this, right? So like, I get it.
Yeah.
I get why you're making these points. No, I'm not faulting you. I'm not calling you stupid or anything.
Yeah, all good. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just basically just informing you. So the Tekken Archives were introduced with the release of Tekken 8 Unforgotten Echoes. In the Tekken Archives, it establishes that Heihachi on his own slaughtered the entire Hachisho clan because he was infuriated that he had to kill Kazumi. After he had slaughtered the entire clan, he had spared a single child. He spared a baby. And this was back to when he had thrown Kazuya off the cliff. That's why the Hachisho clan hasn't done anything in the series. The problem is you've now established that Heihachi had Reina standing right in front of him, and the whole narrative of Heihachi and the whole quote unquote tragedy of his character is that he
Yeah.
doesn't trust in the people around him, which is why he betrays Kazuya, which is why he betrays Lars, it's why he betrays Jin in T3, it's why he kicks Lee out the company. That's the whole tragedy of Heihachi's arc in T7. And
Okay,
Kazumi, and Kazumi, she similarly has the same flaw in that she doesn't trust in the love that her son and her husband have for her, and instead
Yeah,
she
yeah.
makes a deal with Akuma, a deal with the devil, quote unquote, in order to carry out an act of vengeance if she fails her
Yeah, and
mission.
she does believe that like Heihachi will
Yes.
just inevitably do evil to the world, even though it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And shit.
Exactly. And then you have
Yeah.
Jin, by the end of Tekken 8, he learns to put his trust in the people around him.
Yeah,
So by bringing in Reina and you have him spare this child for no reason, bear in mind, at this point in the timeline, you've already established that he threw Kazuya off the cliff. And he
Yeah,
views him to
yeah.
be completely evil even as an infant just because he has the devil. You now
Yeah.
establish that you'll abuse your own flesh and blood for having the devil's power. But this baby
Yeah.
in this clan, who was in the vicinity of this clan of devils you just finished killing.
yeah. Okay, yeah.
That's,
To be honest,
that's the problem. But
yeah, I
I'm not
didn't know
expecting
that
you
about
to.
the yeah.
I'm not expecting you to.
I
do this,
didn't know that about the Reina thing.
Yeah.
But I still don't think like that really detracts that much from my original point, because original point, like, okay, with that knowledge,
Yep.
I definitely see how it could end up hurting Heihachi's character if they don't handle it well. Like if they don't give us any reason, which, let's be honest, they're probably not gonna give us any good reason why he
Yeah.
kept Reina alive there, right? Because they drew themselves into a wall
they
here.
threw themselves into the
But
corner, so they have to do
yeah,
whatever
but the main point was like basically Kazuya wouldn't have deserved to win against Heihachi there, right? Because just like narratively.
What would qualify? What would Kazuya would have had to do in T7 for him to deserve the win? What do you mean by he didn't deserve the win? Explain that.
Okay, so what I mean by he didn't deserve the win is like one constant throughout every portrayal of Kazuya is that he still has a slither of humanity in him, right? And in
That he
Tekken 2,
chooses
that's
to
what.
ignore. Yes.
Yes, exactly. And I feel like and Heihachi is obviously the reason why he is the way that he became, right? Like he is the very source of it all, right?
Yes.
And I just don't see how it would narratively make sense to basically let him win over Heihachi when he is arguably at one of his worst points, like as a person, as like he's a complete piece of shit, and I just don't see how that's him just being physically stronger by being that piece of shit would have made him like thematically deserving of the twin, especially when characters like Jun and shit have been established that are trying to rescue Kazuya, right?
Well, that was the whole point of Tekken 7, because remember, the whole point, because Heihachi is the protagonist of T7, so with the recontextualization, it's that Heihachi is killed, it's like T2, to where he goes face to face with a monster of his own making. He created Kazuya. Right. Therefore, the tragedy is that if you had only trusted in your son, none of this would be happening. The world wouldn't have been torn apart. I'm wounded by Kazumi. It's the whole. It's like the quote from Naruto.
Okay.
Right? To be wounded by the weapon of hatred, and then you take that hatred and inflict pain. Right. So I'm wounded by my wife. Right. She betrays me. Therefore, I take that pain and I inflict it on my son. And I'm wounded by my father. I take that pain and I inflict it on Michelle because I kidnap her mother. I inflict it on Eddie because I kill his parents.
Yeah.
Falcon, get him out of here.
He just inflicts
Falcon,
it on
get
all
him
the
out of here.
entire world.
Hold on for a second. Falcon,
Yeah,
where
all
my
good.
mods at? Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Get this nigga up out of here. Get him up out of here, bro. Get him up out of here. Get the fuck out of my chat, Red. Go somewhere. Think about it. Choose a struggle. 6 people. Red, stop watching my stream, bro. Go away. I'm on PS4. What you worried about me for? Oh, God. I forgot what I was saying now. Fuck's sake.
You were saying like his wife hurts Heihachi, so he hurts Kazuya, so he hurts the entire world, right?
Yeah. So to be wounded by the weapon of hatred, then you take that hatred and you inflict it on other people, right? That's the whole tragedy, that quote unquote tragedy of Tekken 7, because the game was overall poorly written. But overall, and I'll be honest, I was willing to tolerate the recontextualization of Tekken 1 to 6 because of how it tied into Jin's character arc. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of people at the time, before the DLC, we allowed that we allowed Tekken 7 story because T8, even if it's very flawed, it retroactively fixed. It's not a debate, but thank you, Falcon. It retroactively fixed T7, T6, T5, right? By improving on the
Yeah.
thematics of those games, and providing an answer to the loneliness of betrayal that was present within Tekken 7, because Tekken 7 didn't provide an answer. The answer is
Okay, yeah.
you don't close yourself off from other people. You
Yeah,
find
yeah,
new
exactly.
connections, right? Which is what Jin does, right? I lose my mother as a child. I lose my mother as a child. I go to
Okay.
Heihachi. I'm betrayed by Heihachi. I let
Yeah,
my
yeah.
self-anger bleed out into the whole world. I damage these people who are now putting their lives on the line for me. So I will return with newfound strength to protect them where I couldn't protect them before. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't protect my mother.
Yeah.
But that only works if you keep Heihachi dead. Because the problem is, this Tekken 7 wasn't the end to that 20 years worth of lore that the game claimed to be so proud of. It wasn't an
Yeah.
end to Heihachi and Kazuya's rivalry. It was just a footnote.
Yeah.
Because Heihachi survived and he came back a few days after Kazuya beat him. And now the Tekken monks have bestowed upon him newfound powers that
Yeah.
he's going to use to tear the world apart. I hate the fucking DLC, by the way, in case and no one can tell. I fucking despise Unforgotten Echoes. It's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's essentially that's why
So-
that's why I absolutely despise.
Yeah,
Heihachi
so
coming
I
back.
think like one thing where like our perspectives differ is like because you hamper in on the point about like Heihachi is the protagonist of Tekken 7, right? Which yes, he is, but I don't think that and they do like completely recontextualize his character. Honestly, like such a stupid reasoning, like fucking oh yeah, I threw him off a cliff, and if he survives, he has the devil gene. And if he doesn't survive, what? You just killed an innocent child? Like, what
Yeah,
the fuck,
exactly.
man?
It was
Like,
terrible.
the previous fucking reasoning makes much more sense. And, like, I've seen some people argue that, oh, yeah, Heihachi was talking to the reporter and he is, like trying to lie to himself. But no, that's bullshit.
That
That's
is
real.
a
Yeah,
case of,
yeah.
that is a huge case of writing for the writer, to where
Yeah,
you
yeah.
invent facts for
And
the narrative.
but like basically you like view Heihachi as the main protagonist, right, of Tekken 7,
He is the
and
main
then
protagonist
you
of
see
T7, yes.
yeah, he is 100%, and that is why like you put the emphasis on how the story should like be ended for him, right?
Yes.
But because and I understand that because you have a longer history with the franchise, but because I'm so new to the thing, right? And when I went back and played all the games in order, like in my mind, obviously Jin is like the protagonist, right? But then after that, I would argue that Kazuya is more of a protagonist character, right? And even though in Tekken 7 we get to see Heihachi's perspective, it's not like that was the final game, right? It's not like that was the final narrative, the final nail in the coffin for it, right?
Well,
Like
it was the nail in the coffin for Heihachi. I mean, if you even when you look at the interviews, they outright
Yeah,
say
yeah,
that they had planned.
Yeah,
they
he's
were
dead, yeah.
eventually planning some kind of death for Heihachi. That was the whole point of Tekken
Yeah.
7.
Yeah, it's just I feel like when Tekken 9 comes around, the narrative will be able to actually kill him off, especially because Harada said that after Tekken 9 he will probably will probably retire and shit. So I feel like in Tekken 9 he will finally be killed off for good, like
So,
for real, for real, for real.
Question.
Yeah.
What's the point of why would you make an entire game like Tekken 7 where you change fundamental aspects of the lore for no other reason other than to benefit the narrative that you want to tell within that specific game? Why would you write a whole game that's based around Heihachi's death just to undo it in the next game, just to kill him again? What is This is no different than what Star Wars did, right? To where they killed off Palpatine, and George Lucas said he's completely dead, and that was Anakin's redemption, right? Because he finally brought balance to the Force. He finally saved the people he was so emotionally invested in, just to undo Palpatine's death, in Rise of Skywalker, just to have it be killed by the brand new character. So I'm trying to figure out.
But I don't see it. I don't see Heihachi as like this. In Tekken 7 he's the protagonist, yes, but he, like when you look at it from the entire narrative points, he is obviously still a piece of shit, and the only reason he fights Kazuya is in order to become more powerful, right? Like
Yes,
in
'cause
order
power
to
is
get
everything,
world
yes.
domination and shit, right? And given
So,
Tekken 8's story now, right?
So, question then:
Yeah.
how does
Mhm.
Tekken's narrative benefit by bringing Heihachi back? How did Tekken 8 benefit by bringing back Heihachi? How does this benefit the overall
Okay,
story
so
of Tekken?
like this obviously depends on what will happen in Tekken 9, I think, right? But if they do decide to make Kazuya to redeem his character, which there's obviously a lot of hints for that, and then they actually make him kill off Heihachi for good, right? But now as a redeemed person, paralleling Jin's arc, right?
So
Then
basically, basically your point is, it is necessary. Heihachi's. We're gonna allow them to bring back Heihachi for the sake of Kazuya's redemption arc, potential redemption arc. Yeah.
Yeah, and because
Okay.
it wouldn't make sense to me, especially now, like, imagine they make a redemption arc with Kazuya, right? But they don't bring Heihachi back, right? So then he got to defeat his source of all the abuse and suffering
Yes.
that he has endured, right? He got to defeat it while being at his absolute worst as a person, like arguably at one of his points as his absolute worst, and that to me just wouldn't make a lot of sense, like thematically speaking,
Did
right?
you watch my
With
you
how
watched
Tekken
my
8
Kazuya
went.
analysis, correct?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
So the point of Kazuya defeating Heihachi is that despite it was critical that he defeated Heihachi in Tekken 7 and then became the main villain in Tekken 8 once again, because
Yeah.
you essentially remove Heihachi from that position of power, and you take the position that your father once held. So in Kazuya's mind, at the beginning of Tekken 8, he thinks he's at the top of the world. I have finally overcome my father. I've overcome the man that has held me down for so long. But in spite of
Yeah.
Kazuya defeating Heihachi, he still ultimately lives in his shadow, which is why he's
Yes,
constantly
and-
reminded of Heihachi within Tekken 8. That's the point.
Yeah.
And this is going to be
And he
another.
lives-
This may be an unpopular take. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but because people have asked me what I think about Kazuya getting a redemption arc. Personally, I do not think Kazuya should get a redemption arc. I think it is fucking stupid that he's going to get one.
Okay, and just a difference of opinion, but I think the living in his shadow and shit, I can totally, like, he isn't at the top of the world, and he is constantly reminded of Heihachi, and I can totally see that be, like, being able to make that flow in nicely together, because when he defeated Heihachi, he wasn't redeemed yet, basically,
Yes,
you know?
yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
So essentially,
Yeah.
in your mind, essentially, because I imagine other people are rearing to jump in and speak their piece.
Yeah.
But also, give me a second.
Oh, good.
Sorry about that. But ultimately,
Yeah, all good.
yeah. Fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say. But ultimately,
You were saying, in my mind, it's like...
I fucking forgot. God damn it. It doesn't matter. Ultimately, you think it's gonna benefit it on a thematic level. Then
Yeah.
that's ultimately it. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
again, I'm not here to tell you that you're wrong because I can't tell you. That's your perspective. I can't tell you you're
Yeah,
wrong
yeah.
for having your perspective. This, that, and the third. Yeah. So. Anyways, I'm gonna leave the party for now. Glad you came in. Glad you spoke your piece.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in. When it was
Yeah,
nice
this
to
was,
listen to someone else's voice than other than mine for a few minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, this...
This was, I mean, I did learn that about the Tekken arcades and shit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look into that to see how that would like fit my interpretation and shit.
Yeah, it's all good.
Fun, I think.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Good. All right. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Once again, thank you to Ladin for joining the party chat, speaking your piece. I forgot I was playing this shit, and I just lost 50% of my life. Nice. And I'm still on the first phase. Poseidon. Your ass don't go down. God. So yeah, anyways, for anyone else who wants to join in, just drop your PSN in the chat, as I've said before. Christ. This is the most disorganized stream. Got people on the phone in the background. I still need to eat dinner. Oh, the things I do forgotten. Did I get hit? I'm about to die on fucking Poseidon, bro. I'm about to die on fucking Poseidon. Yep, good talk. Good talk, Len. Good talk, good talk. Oh, fuck, bro. Oh, shit.
I will leave nothing of you in my wake.
Okay, so let me read one of GT Rising's. I miss when Heihachi was pure evil. Nowadays, everyone wants their main villain to be Darth Vader. Yeah. Every character needs to have some. Every villain needs to have some kind of sympathetic edge to them nowadays. Unfortunately. Oh, he's about to get folded.
Zeus should have kept you where you belong. No matter how many gods fall.
Yeah, shut up, Poseidon. I'll never get why writers waste time killing off characters instead of just keeping them alive but injured. Yeah, that's another main thing. It's like why waste my time with I feel you, GT. It's like why waste my time with T7?
There will always be another to stand against you.
They will fall as well.
I can't wait to see the shitstorm that Twitter is gonna be once they do give Kazuya a redemption arc, because everyone who views it is gonna be like, no, why is Kazuya criticized for his previous sins, but you didn't do it for Jin? I can't wait. That is gonna be a sight to see. It's gonna be beautiful. Yeah, she is like a Marvel or DC character that never dies. Yeah, pretty much. This is the main reason I stopped reading the fucking comics. Sorry, I forget. It was like one Spider-Man. It was like something about Gwen Stacy coming back as like a goblin. I was reading like in one Spider-Man comic, and I just instantly put it down. I'm pretty sure this was 616 too, so you know. But yeah, definitely definitely still got to criticize Jin some more, cause hold on. Yeah, definitely got to criticize Jin some more, because he's he technically did the right thing, but he still got to pay up. Yeah. I mean, everyone talks about. I mean, everyone talks about Jin having to pay up, and I remember I was asked this question on my last stream. You know, it was CR Cole who had asked me this question. I don't know if he's still here, but he had asked, "Do I personally think that the problem with Jin's character arc is not Jin himself, but more so how every other character acts in conjunction with Jin's arc?" You know, and I left the question extremely vague at the time, but you know, I have no problem going in depth on it. So, you know, if he's here, cool. If he's not here, so. The thing is with Jin's character arc, when I narrow in on Jin's arc in Tekken 8, and I think about how Jin himself is specifically written, I don't have any problems with Jin's character. You know, how he starts off the game not viewing himself as worthy to live, and essentially he's still continuing his nihilistic worldview of Tekken 6 to where I'm going to die and I'm going to leave it for other people to rebuild after I kill myself in the Mishima bloodline. Right, and then obviously his enlightenment by the end of the game to where I want to help everyone else rebuild. I don't have a problem with that. And I know that the main thing everyone does criticize about Tekken 8, and I know because we've had this discussion already, is it, you know, why does no one else criticize Jin for T8? And CR had asked me my opinion on that. So this may or may not come as a shock, but I don't inherently have a problem with on paper, the idea that nobody talks to Jin about Tekken 8. That is not my issue. As long as it is justified within the narrative, because you have to think about the line that Lars gave by the end of Tekken 7 to where he tells the narrator, I want to kill Jin myself, but we need him for the sake of the war. If that was the unspoken rule, if that was the creative choice that they had chosen within Tekken 6 is when Jin was head of Mishima Zaibatsu. Tekken 8 is Jin's redemption arc. But yeah, I don't have a problem with that. And I'm still here. I drop my PSN in the chat. Oh, really? I can't see it. Just drop your PSN again, CR. Yeah, drop your PSN again. I didn't see shit. But yeah, as long as it is justified within the narrative, I don't have a problem. Because we wouldn't be able to say, because if that was the unspoken rule, we wouldn't be able to say they swept Jin's war crimes under the rug, because you would have still had the Kazuya fight in Chapter 1, where Tekken 6 is the topic of conversation. You would have still had the Devil Jin fight by the end of the game. The logic would have just been that, we won't talk, you know, we're going to postpone those discussions for now. You know, we'll postpone them for now, and then in Tekken 9, we can answer the question, is Jin owed forgiveness for Tekken 6 just because he saved us in Tekken 8? We can explore how the characters feel about Jin post-arc. You know, ultimately, it doesn't matter what writing tool you choose, whether it's the characters criticizing Jin for Tekken 6 or the characters working with Jin in spite of Tekken 6. Or, ultimately, what matters is that you pick one option and you stick with it. Postponing them in Tekken 8 would be fire, I think. Yeah, the thing is, I don't have a problem with it, but the problem with Tekken 8 is that they tried to do both. Because once you open that door, you know, because essentially the logic is that if you don't talk about Tekken 6, we, the audience, are allowing you, we're allowing you the freedom to write these scenes, you know, for the intended themes in this game, and we're going to allow you to not have Jin apologize to Alyssa, for example. We're not going to allow you to not have Jin have to confront King over it, for example. We'll allow you to not have Jin and Lars have a hard conversation about Togo and Lars' squad. So, but if that's your choice, you pick it and you stick with it. Because then the Leo scene in Chapter 4 happens, and Tekken 6 is the topic of conversation. And despite that scene being, quite frankly, shit, you know, like the scene is really fucking bad, it at the very least communicates to the audience that you, the writer, were willing to utilize the events of Tekken 6. You were willing to utilize that to progress both Jin and Leo to get them in the spots you wanted for your payoffs by the end of the story. That being Jin's enlightenment, Leo, and strength, the second theme of strength achieved by unity. But now that you've opened this door, you can no longer close it for the rest of the story mode. And this retroactively damages the previously mentioned scenes, because now the audience is left to ponder thoughts such as, why do Jin and Leo have an entire fight dedicated to Tekken 6, but Jin didn't apologize to Alyssa, even though he got her killed? Why do Jin and Leo speak about Tekken 6, but Lars and Jin don't speak about it? If Leo is not related to the main characters, and he's fighting Jin over Tekken 6, why was the audience cheering for Jin in Chapter 3? That's the problem with, and this is the kind of depth I haven't really seen from a lot of the people who have been criticizing Jin's character arc. It's usually just because this event happened in Tekken 6, therefore there has to be some kind of fight over it. It's like, I get it, but it's like you have to dive deeper than that. You can't simply say that. You have to break each character down and figure out, does it make sense for this specific character to be mad at Jin? CR Cole 331. All right, perfect. I see CR Cole has that God of War 3 icon. Alright, bro, I sent you the party invite. So go ahead and join in whenever you're ready. Yeah, for instance, Lars and Alyssa definitely have a good reason to be mad at him. But being supportive of him in Tekken 8 also makes sense because they need him, as long as they address. Exactly. I mean, because the thing, you say that how Lars, this is funny, because you say that Lars and Alyssa both needed to be mad at him. The thing is, Alyssa isn't the type of character who holds grudges. And Tekken has this whole theme of nurturing feminine figures. Alyssa could have been one of those nurturing figures. You don't need to have Alyssa be mad at Jin. She could be one of the more forgiving characters, so you can have nuances to it. You could have had Alyssa say something along the lines to, for instance, when they speak to each other in Chapter 2, you could have had Alyssa say, Jin, your actions in Tekken 6, your actions in the past were awful, but there's nothing we can do to change that. Therefore, we shall live for the future, because it ties into the main themes of the game. That's all you would have had to have Alyssa say. And then people wouldn't be able to say, they swept their war crimes under the rug. It's like, no, because this makes sense for the character to say that. But again, this is the nuance that a lot of people don't really explore within the relationships of the cast. You can't see the request? Okay, hold on. Let me make an open party. Hold on. Alright, I made an open party. I'll probably replay Tekken 8 story mode soon as readjust my interpretations, because obviously I played T8 for, yeah. As you should. You want to make sure you leave no stone unturned. So CR, are you able to see the request or no? Because I'm about to get into an unskippable cutscene, so like, I rather just get you in this party chat, have you speak your piece, as opposed to the fucking you continue playing on the game and then niggas can't fucking hear you because of the fucking crazy shit's about to take place. Matter of fact, my 5 characters in Tekken. Still, all right. Ben, I'm gonna send you a friend request. Hold up. Bruh, CR, it's the same shit it said for Layden, bruh. Yeah, you gotta check who can send me a friend request, cause y'all have your settings blocked. That's why I can't invite you niggas. Oh god. Bro, I am such a professional streamer. This is the reason after I'm done the T8 videos, I ain't making no more fucking content. Chucking this channel in the fucking garbage. Default. I'm gonna assume that most of you niggas are on PSN, on PS5. My 5 characters in Tekken: Kazuya, Jin, fucking King. King's also cool. Lars is alright, I guess. I don't really know. There's a lot of characters that are kind of shit. Cause them niggas don't fucking do anything. I'm gonna keep this shit up for 1 more hour. Niggas better get your shit ready. Once the hour hits, I'm the fuck up out of here. I'm finna go eat dinner. Alright, Layden, thank you for joining the stream. I'm glad that you were able to come in and speak your piece. Alright, cool. Perfect. Invite. There we go. Now I sent you the fucking invite. And yes, good talk, Layden. Take it easy. Hello there. I can hear you. Is your voice shared? Is your voice shared? Is your voice sharing on PS5 on? I'm listening to the stream right now. Doesn't sound like it. Now go make sure you turn your... You want your voice sharing to be on. Otherwise, it's just going to sound like I'm talking to myself. Do you know how to turn your voice sharing on?
Alright, I turned it on. Can everybody hear me now?
Can y'all hear him, or was it just...
Can y'all hear me, or is it
Alright,
so
perfect.
quiet?
Yes, I can hear you. Alright.
Okay.
Go ahead, speak your piece, or ask me a question. Anything you want to do. Cook.
No problem. Well, first of all, how you doing?
Oh, bro, I'm big chilling.
Oh, okay, that's what's up. Tekken 8 story, I don't know where to start. how bad the DLC is, I guess. I'd ask what they were thinking, but I'm pretty sure they weren't.
They weren't.
Yeah. I don't think they were at all. It's just it's not even that they brought Heihachi back. It's just like, well, it is. Well, it's like, it's how they did it that I hate the most. They just did it in the most, like, brain dead,
lazy
like,
way possible. Like,
non-trying, no effort way possible.
Like I said, fan fiction.
Yeah, it's like, I legitimately saw that and was like, nah, no way. I was like, no way. Fun fact, that DLC stopped me from buying the game.
Well, I didn't even buy the game to begin with, but yeah, I feel it.
Yeah, I was going to, and then they announced Heihachi, and I was like, wait. I was like, wait. And then the DLC came out, and I was like, no. My money is well spent elsewhere. And it's like just why? Just, like, what was the harm in just bringing him back non-canonically? Like, let him be playable, but not in the story. What harm would that have done? Genuinely.
Yep.
Okay, I can see we agree on the DLC, but I think we might disagree on the base game. And, well, in fairness, I try to judge them separately. I try to judge them as separate entities.
Well, it depends.
I try to judge them as
it depends on how you criticize the base game, because I think, like I said earlier in the stream, way earlier, that I said publicly that I like the game, that I like the base story. And I think a lot of people conflated me saying, I get the feeling that people will conflate me saying that I like the base story of Tekken 8 and I like Jin's redemption arc with, I'm turning a blind eye to all of the problems in the redemption arc, or that I'm turning a blind eye to the problems in the base game. So.
Oh, okay. Okay, because I'll admit I made the mistake of being in that camp of people, of feeling like you did a whole 180 on the story.
Well, in a way I did, but more so in the sense that I came to understand what it is they're the problem with my initial two-parter is that I was trying to criticize it without understanding it first. You know, and the passion that I had within, say, the Tekken 7 video, you can tell, even though that video is only 40 minutes and the two Tekken 8 videos combined is like an hour and 20 minutes of content, and even if you throw in the fucking Leopold responses, at least 2 hours of Tekken 8 content that I had made at the time, and the old how Kazuya's character was ruined, this, that, and the fucking third. You can tell which of those videos had more effort put into it. It was the Tekken 7 video, because I was so invested in it. That's why I had to enlist the other ones. I did the game a disservice. But if they're go ahead. But that's me. So go ahead and critique the base story. Cook.
Well, that's fine. It's nothing wrong with going back and looking at something and looking at it through a new lens.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm the opposite, because I really liked 8's story when I first watched it or whatever. Yeah. But the more I started to think about it, the less I started to like it. Mainly because, well, the whole story is about Jin's redemption or whatever. Yeah. And that's fine. Yeah. And I think the way they went about it by itself is fine. But I think you mentioned it earlier about how I commented that the problem was the other characters.
Yep.
I still maintain that stance. That the other characters not
having a
reacting appropriately, let's just say, to all the stuff he did is odd. And I was listening to you earlier talking about how they try to you were saying it a couple minutes ago about how they was trying to have it both ways with not really bringing up his all the stuff he did. And I feel like the problem could have been easily mitigated if they had a prologue scene of Lars getting people around and being okay, we know he did all this stuff, but we gotta prop him up now because he's the only person who can help us. Or have people actively criticizing him but also have Jin do stuff in the story that
Would shift
that
the
proves to
perspective,
people
yeah.
he's not as bad as people think he is.
Yep.
Like, for example, in the opening boss fight against Kazuya or whatever, when Kazuya shoots the laser at the people, at that crowd of people in New York, like, have Jin fly in the way and tank the blast so they don't get hit. And then after the fact, Lars can ask him, like, well, why did you do that? You were practically doing the same stuff not that long ago. And then you could have Jin say, you could say something like they were innocent, or he could even say, I don't know. It just felt like the right thing to do.
Yep.
And even small scenes like that would be like, okay, maybe he's not this monster that he was dropping bombs 6 months ago.
Yep. I mean, yeah, no, I pretty much agree with everything you say, yeah. So, I mean, if you want specifics of what I was saying, because you did ask me the question last time, and the issue was that the point I was making is that the creative choice of the story mode, and a lot of people who defend the arc agree on this, the creative choice of the story mode was, we will postpone conversations of Tekken 6 for now, and we will focus on the here and now. We will focus on developing Jin where we want to get him by the end of the story mode, you know, his enlightenment and his self-acceptance, right?
Right.
But in order to allow that, we're allowing you the freedom of not talking about Tekken 6. If that is the avenue you're going to take, and this is the problem with the character writing technique, if that is the avenue you're going to take, you keep that consistent for the story mode. The problem is, as I said before, they did both. Because with the Leo scene, even if it's bad, it showcases that you were willing to use other characters to and have Tekken 6 be the topic of conversation to progress Jin and to progress the other characters into the position of they're willing to work with Jin in spite of Tekken 6, and you're going to use that fight about Tekken 6 in order to get Jin where he is, when he eventually fights, you know, his inner darkness and he comes to accept the devil as a part of himself. But through opening that door, you can't close it for the rest of the story mode. And you damage the scenes prior, because now we the audience are left to question, why do Leo and Jin fight about Tekken 6, but Jin didn't apologize to Alyssa when you had the perfect setup for it in that conversation during Chapter 2? Then you're also left to question, why is the general public cheering for Jin in Chapter 3 and in Chapter 5? Which is another fucking problem. The idea that the public was just cheering on both Jin and Kazuya. God, it infuriates me so fucking much.
Yeah.
And mainly
them
supporting Kazuya, and less Jin, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, but yeah, like I was saying, and then especially to have it happen, especially to have the two instances of him being criticized for T6 happen so early in the story. Like, the first one happens in Chapter 1, and the other one happens, what is that, Chapter 2 or 3 against Leo?
Chapter 4.
Yeah, Chapter 4. Yeah, to have it happen so early and then just not bring it up at all after that, up until Devil Jin brings it up. But if you think about it like that, that's basically what Jin thinks about himself.
Yes.
So I don't even know if that counts.
Well,
but yeah, to have it come up so early within the first 5 chapters and then just not really bring it up again later on,
if you want
it was definitely a choice to make.
If you want to get technical, there are 20 characters on the roster who are on Jin's side. And out of that entire roster of characters, only Jin criticizes himself, which is, like, I believe, like a small percentage. And if you want to get technical, and that's if you get technical, because Jin and Devil Jin are the same person. So that's the only character, and I guess you can call it the Leo scene, but the Leo scene is just...
It's there to glaze. That's what it is.
Essentially, and the problem with it is, when you think about it, and this is another thing that people have not brought up in these debates, of all the characters you could have used who were introduced in Tekken 6, you chose to use the one character who was not personally affected by Jin's war. They were
trying to mitigate it. That's what I think. That's my personal opinion. I think they were trying to make it be like, it's not that bad.
That could have been Zafina. That could have been Lars. It deserved to be Alyssa. Alyssa deserved an apology from Jin.
Yeah.
And it was the perfect setup. Jin had ended Alyssa's life in Tekken 6, and he taunted her. Even if whatever, Azazel, this and the third, you still mocked her in front of her friend. And then in this story mode, the first time we see you two together, you establish that she has just saved your life. And what's crazy to me about when I think about all the issues and the criticisms people have towards this arc, the issues are so large within the story mode, but they need simple fixes.
Yeah.
Because that big scene where all the characters are encouraging Jin in Chapter 7, that could have been a discuss. If you're going to have them all stand around while Kazuya is beating up Azazel, that could have been a discussion about Tekken 6.
Yeah, that's another thing with the story. I feel like a lot of the problems that are there, like, just shouldn't have been for the story they were going for, or should have gone through a second draft of quick fixes.
I mean, well, the thing is, when you do analyze the problems in Tekken 8's story, you know, once you find enough issues in the script, you'll be able to understand why did the writer make these mistakes in the story mode. And for me, when I picked apart the issues within Tekken 8's story, the answer 9 times out of 10 is so we can have our payoffs, so we can have a cool moment. You know, for instance, why is Jin not criticized for Tekken 6 by his allies? It's so we can promote the theme of strength achieved by unity and have these characters work with Jin in spite of his sins, but we also avoid talking about his sins too much. You know, for instance, why does Kazuya not kill Jin when he's given the opportunity? Oh, it's so Jin can go to Yakushima, get his angel form, and beat Kazuya. Yeah, for instance, that's usually the answer 9 times out of. Essentially, the point is, whatever is more convenient for the narrative, right? Logic and common sense be damned. Convenience is the problem with Tekken 8's narrative.
Right. But if they were gonna do Jin's redemption, like they should have put more effort into it. Like for it to be the whole plot and for everybody to be propping him up the way they were, there should have been like at least little moments sprinkled throughout of him proving to people he's different from Kazuya. Like when he fights Harang when he fights Harang or whatever. Yeah.
Chapter 3.
Yeah, when he fights Harang after he beats him, like have him do something small like apologize for T5, even though that technically wasn't his fault or whatever. He could still be like, "Hey, bro, I'm sorry I tried to kill you." And then you could have Harang say the thing of, "Well, that power is just a part of who you are."
So if
something small like that.
If you were in the writer's position, right? If you were placed in the writer's position, how would you make the most impactful scenes more satisfying to the general audience? You know, we're displeased with the relationships of the characters in this game. How would you go about addressing those scenes?
Okay, well, which scenes specifically? Just all of them sprinkled throughout?
Well, so take a scene. Take the Jin and Leo scene. How would you go about changing that scene to make it more satisfying? Because a lot of people don't like that scene, myself included.
Okay, so you can keep Leo confronting Jin about T6. They can have their little fight or whatever. And after the fight, instead of Leo just being like, your fists aren't as evil as Kazuya's or whatever glazing he said, have Jin say something about him not being as bad as Kazuya. But Leo is just like, nah, I don't believe you. You haven't done anything to prove yourself. Stuff like that. And then maybe later on at Yakushima or whatever, after Jin has done some things to prove he's different from Kazuya, Leo is one of the people that's like, well, I'll take a chance on him right now.
Yeah. So essentially you would have Leo remain skeptical.
Yes. More skepticism would have been fine from people.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not going to go with, like, straight up calling him out every single second, which I think I commented people should have did that in one of your videos in the past, but it's like I can see why that would be a lot to deal with. Like at least have skepticism. At least have people be like, "Well, why should we help Jin after everything he's done?"
Mm-hmm. So, with your argument on that, you would want to say that it's the execution of the skepticism because. You know, if you bring that up in a debate, someone would say, "But Leo was skeptical." But then, and then if you say,
"But he was skeptical," but then just immediately wasn't anymore.
Yeah, because then people will be like, "Oh, so your issue was that it wasn't skeptical enough." You know, this, that, and the third. So you always want to make sure you hammer it down. So, but is your concern the simple fact that the characters band together, or that they just don't talk about T6? You know, taking that into account. You know,
it's a bit of both. It's a bit of both because I understand everybody banding together because it's like the only option for real. Like it's either good, it's either band together against Kazuya or just like or he just rules the world essentially. Mm-hmm. But then the problem of not bringing up T6 is like you can't push Jin's redemption without without bringing up all the stuff he's done, like, I hate to compare the two, but if you look at T7, for all of its faults, all of its many, many faults, it didn't just gloss over all the stuff Heihachi did up until that point. Like, imagine if in T7, because they wanted to make Heihachi more sympathetic, they just rarely, if ever, brought up all the stuff he did in Tekken 1 through 6.
I mean, they kind of...
That would be so weird.
They kind of did, because they don't bring up Jinpachi, you know, even though they established within that story mode that he locked Jinpachi up.
I don't remember T7. I only watched through like T7's like once. I thought they brought up Jinpachi at least once.
No. So what happened is that early in the story, when the narrator is doing research on Kazumi and how she ties into the Mishima family, he says the year Heihachi seized control from the Mishima from Jinpachi for the Mishima Zaibatsu was the same year his son fell off a cliff, and the same year his wife died. So he had already locked Jinpachi under the temple of Honmaru prior to Kazumi's murder attempt at that point. But later in the story, this is not brought up when Heihachi gives his reason for why he threw Kazuya off of the cliff. So, and they don't bring up him shooting Jin in T3. So yes, Tekken 7 did sweep Heihachi's crimes under the rug. Tekken 8, funny enough, I used to think the same thing, that, you know, oh, they swept Jin's war crimes under the rug. It's not that they swept it under the rug, because the story does address it multiple times. It's just that, it's like, as I said before, it's that if you're not going to have the characters talk about it, keep that consistent. But then with the Leo, obviously, because the Leo scene exists. And then after that, you have the Leroy scene in Chapter 5, where Tekken 6 is once again the topic of conversation, and Leroy has this investment in Jin, despite everything, this, that, and the third. Right, so it's actually the other way around. It's that T7 Heihachi's crimes under the rug, but you didn't know.
Well, I don't know T7 that well. The only I've watched through T7 like maybe once, but I've rewatched the final battle because it was like the only good part.
Yeah, it was.
But then they fucked it up.
Yeah, so you always want to make sure you get the scenes down in earnest, right? Always.
Okay, well my apologies on that.
It's all you mean you didn't know. You didn't know. I can't hate you for what
Can you blame me for not wanting to re-watch through Tekken 7?
Nigga, fuck no. I mean, I re-watched through it recently. Nigga, want to stick a knife in my throat. Fuck.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So, do you think that with the context of the previous games, do you think that it makes sense? Do you believe that the characters are behaving in a way that makes sense for each of the individual characters, given the context of the previous games and the context of Tekken 8's story?
Okay, so in the context of the previous games, I don't know, because in T6 wasn't everybody gunning for Jin for the most part?
Yes, everyone hated Jin's guys.
So for now, everybody to be by his side with seemingly no hesitation, I think that's weird. I think that's so yeah, I would say it's not in character. Because in T6, it was basically everybody gunning for Jin, essentially. But now everybody's just on his side, no questions asked. So I think it is out of character for a lot of people.
They all need Jin to stop Kazuya.
Yeah, they all need... I understand that, but they could have even done something with some skepticism. Like, after Jin lost to Kazuya, everybody could have been...
The thing is, I'm trying to show you, you have to analyze it. Does it make sense within the context of this game, and does it make sense within the context of the previous games? So within the context of this story mode, for some characters, it does make sense, you know, Lars, Lee, Alyssa, and with the context of the previous games, it's congruent. But for other characters, it doesn't. And I imagine that, I don't know if this is going to be a popular, hot or unpopular take, I don't know, whatever, but Lily was character assassinated in Tekken 8, and I'm honestly shocked that they managed it.
I'm not. I'm not.
Yeah. Because she barely had anything.
They mishandled like 97% of the cast. So.
Yeah, but she barely had anything going on for her anyway. So the character assassinate Lily, I was honestly surprised.
Yeah, because doesn't she have a dialogue in T6 where she like tells Lars to kill Jin or it's going to be a problem or something like that?
I mean, well, yeah, that is, but that's not even where my argument stems from. Because if you think about Lily's defining character traits, right? She's a selfish character. She's petty. She's obnoxious. She's arrogant. She's self-centered, right? But the one trait that is above all of the other ones I had just mentioned is the love that she has for her father. Right, because that was her motivation in the earlier games. That's why she participated in Iron Fist 5 and 6. It was to go help her father. And her pettiness is showcased throughout this story mode because she had lost to Asuka back in T5, she's still messing with Asuka to this day just because she beat her one time in T5. So you bought out her whole family dojo. But all of a sudden, the protagonist of the game, who bankrupted your father and caused issues for his health, he collapsed due to the stress, all as a result of Jin buying your father's oil rigs. She has nothing to say to the man who bankrupted her father, but she still harasses Asuka.
Well, she helps Jin because that's her girlfriend's cousin. Anything for family.
That's how you have to look at it. And this is what the point I brought up. This is the point I had brought up earlier with whatever is more convenient for the narrative. So, because it's more narratively convenient for Jin and Lily to work together, and it's more convenient for Jin's narrative in this story we want to push about unity and strength and this, that, and the third, we're going to essentially sacrifice who Lily is as a character and essentially have her just be the representation of a person who's going to put aside their differences for the sake of strength to fight a greater evil.
Yeah, because Jin wins with bonds and friendship he never had before this game.
Exactly.
It's crazy. Imagine if they add Miguel and have him forgive Jin for what he did in T6.
I can imagine that, yeah.
I could see that happening. I could see that happening. I wouldn't put it past them.
Well, and what's interesting
it's a shame
to me is...
Go
ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think the best chapters in the game are chapter 1 and the last chapter. What is it, 14 or 15 chapters? Yeah, I think those are real, because I think those chapters are really good, but then everything in between is where I'm just like, how is this the same story?
The writers had a night, and I said this a year ago.
Yeah, they wrote the ending before the middle and just
they had a beginning and
to
ending
fix
in
it.
mind. Yeah, and everything else is where it fell apart.
But it's a shame. It's how did all that talent in the beginning and end just disappear in the middle? Y'all couldn't have put that same effort in the middle portion?
I mean, yeah, I've said a lot in this stream, but I haven't even gotten to the parts of the story mode that really pissed me off.
I think one of the things that pissed me off the most about the game was how they wasted Jun. They hyped up bringing her back just to do nothing with her. Just do absolutely nothing. And you got people that say, well, they're probably saving it for the next game or DLC, and it's they should have brought her back then.
That will not
they
come out
just
for
brought her back
another...
then.
The next game, that won't come out for another decade.
Yeah. So they could have just waited another decade to bring her back. I have a theory, and there's no way for me to prove it, but I feel like Jun wasn't supposed to be in the game. I feel like she was only supposed to be in cutscenes, but they figured people would be upset at not being able to play as her, so they just decided to make her playable.
Mm-hmm.
I had no way to prove it, but there's no doubt in my mind.
I mean, she's nothing more than a plot device.
Yeah, she's there as visions. People don't even know she's still alive. That's how bad it is.
Yes.
The game's a year old, and people still are online questioning if she's actually still alive or not.
Yeah.
And that's another thing they could have done. If they weren't going to do anything with her, then they should have... you remember how in old Tekken games, every time you beat, the arcade mode, you would unlock a character or something?
Mm-hmm.
They should have saved her as the unlock for the story mode.
The secret
so that way it could be oh, maybe she is alive, maybe she's not.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. But to bring her back and hype her up and then do nothing with her, I'm not even surprised. That's the thing.
Yep. Which is sad.
Oh yeah, have you seen the DLC archives?
Of course I saw the fucking archives. Come on.
Okay.
Of course.
Did you see the one where they make Heihachi may or may not be a groomer now?
Oh, it's not that he was a groomer. You're thinking.
You don't know that. Hang on. Hear me out. Let me cook.
All right, cook. Go ahead.
Let me cook. Okay, because Heihachi, he wiped out the Hachijo 40 years ago.
Yes.
Okay, and there was a baby girl that was a survivor.
Which is
now,
yes.
All right, you think so, but what if it wasn't? Because they don't say that it was Reyna. And this was 40 years ago. Reyna does not look 40. So either she is like 40 but looks 20 for whatever reason, or the baby was Reyna's mom and Heihachi pulled the ditty on the baby when she got older.
You'd be surprised. There are women who are 40 and they still look immaculate. So it's incredibly possible.
I wouldn't be I know it's possible, but the ambiguity is like, who knows? I wouldn't even it's not even out of character for Heihachi to do that, I feel like.
Probably not. I mean, yeah, probably.
Like the dude threw his 5-year-old off a cliff. I wouldn't put that past him.
But yes, I did see the Tekken archives. I know that Heihachi somehow wiped out the entire clan by himself somehow.
I mean, I don't find that so unbelievable because, like, maybe there weren't a lot of them, and maybe they didn't have their devil gene unlocked. Like that's possible, I guess. But if that was the case, they should have said that.
In order to unlock the devil gene for the Hachi shows,
they
have to be faced with the threat of death.
Yeah, they have to be near death. But if you kill them, maybe if you kill them fast enough, who knows?
Reyna was hit with a laser that is capable of cutting a satellite in half and travels to space in a few seconds. And she still got back up.
So maybe all the Hachijos didn't have the devil gene.
But they are the origin. The one Hachisho clan member abandoned the clan, and then he went and reproduced. So they all had it. Kazumi was one of those members. And they existed for quite a while before Heihachi wiped them out. And another thing you have to question is that how does Heihachi beat a whole clan of devils if they were born with their devils, but meanwhile then in Tekken 1 he gets his ass kicked by Kazuya, who wasn't even using his devil power?
Well, wasn't Heihachi like weaker in Tekken 1 because he wasn't training or whatever? No. You got to take into consideration before Tekken 1 is like prime young Heihachi.
That was prime. Yeah, it's not that he wasn't. He was still training. It's just that he wasn't training as hard.
He wasn't training as hard. Yeah.
That's about it. Because then when he comes back in T2 years later, he beats Kazuya's ass, even when he transforms into Devil.
Well, wasn't Kazuya nerfed by then? Because
yes, yeah, of course. Yeah. But Heihachi's training still played a part.
Right.
But
as an old man, he was presumably even stronger than he was back then because Kazuya had to go Super Devil 2 against him.
Because Heihachi had fucking Super Saiyan for some reason. And somehow Heihachi is able to he's able to stand up to devils to begin with. Even, I mean, if I pick apart the logic, I mean, it's like Heihachi should.
I mean, you don't have to pick apart the logic. Like if you even in universe. Even if you think about it in the context of the series, it's still like...
Heihachi got knocked out by Devil's Force Push in Tekken 4. And that lasted for as long as Kazuya and Jin were fighting. So you have telekinesis, you can travel to space, you can teleport, you can shoot a laser that goes to space in a matter of seconds. Why are you not just picking... Why are you not just
having a hard time against a bunch of melee fighters?
Exactly. So it's like, why are you not just flying him up to space... Because the devils can breathe in space. Don't forget. They can breathe in space, as showcased in Tekken 8. So just take them all to space, suffocate them. There's nothing they could do about it.
Yeah. Well, then the story would be over.
Exactly. So don't give them that power. Otherwise, the audience who notices it becomes a problem. And this is no different than Doctor Strange not cutting off Thanos' arm in Infinity War.
Facts.
And there's no learning curve to the devil power either. Kazuya just knows how to do everything.
Well, he had it his whole life, so maybe he was fucking around with it when he was growing up.
But then in Tekken 8, he somehow knows how to make a spirit bomb out of nowhere.
Yeah. And he also knows how to absorb Azazel out of nowhere.
Yes, it's
even
very.
Though he never confronted him before.
It's very.
Azazel is a bitch.
Azazel is a bitch. Azazel is a bitch. It's very. But the story.
Is it Azazel? Azazel, whatever.
Azazel.
He's a bitch. Jin was worried about nothing.
I mean, it's not. Well, supposedly Azazel is supposed to be powerful. The problem is that we, the audience, every time we see Azazel, he gets his ass kicked.
He's
so
supposed to be, but
so
they
we
do
can't
a
take it
really bad
seriously.
job of conveying that.
Yes, and that's the problem. That's why people hate T6. Because for as powerful as you claim this character is, he gets his ass kicked. So you're giving us information
Every
that
time you
conflicts.
see him. And you can make that same argument for a lot of bosses in Tekken.
Yes. And for anyone wondering, yes, this kind of thing exists within Dragon Ball. Because I know someone, and it exists within
100%.
And it exists within God of War too. So don't, because I know people love to make the argument, oh, if you criticize it in Tekken, you criticize it in other shit. Yes, motherfucker. These are the kinds of discussions we have in our private. I have in my own private party chats with my friends.
It is 100. It is in everything ever. It is in everything ever that involves fighting.
Yes, unfortunately.
Without fail.
And it gets worse. It gets worse as time goes on instead of better.
Yeah, like Krillin fighting evenly with Blue Goku. No, but Goku was suppressed. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Android 17, fun.
And Android 17 got God level.
Oh, the idea of fucking golden fucking Frieza.
Now don't forget about Black Frieza.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, so this conversation.
You got the N-word.
Oh my God! Before I get too invested.
Well, all right, we don't want to. There was one more thing I wanted to say. If you were about to have somebody else come in.
I don't think anyone else is here, so you can go ahead and speak your piece. I'm gonna turn this shit off.
Okay. Another small thing I would have changed was when Lars was fighting True Devil Kazuya on Yakushima.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that should have been just Lars. Like, I get why it was there because they wanted to like hype him up as like he inherited Heihachi's like. Yeah, he's powerful. He inherited Heihachi's, like, willpower or whatever. And, like, I get it, but you still could have done that without having him be holding off True Devil Kazuya by himself.
Oh, dude, that fight should have been a massacre. But, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like, bare minimum, it should have been Lars and Lee there.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of Lars's... not Lars, fucking
their
Lee's,
connection to Heihachi.
Yeah, his connection. Yeah, his connection with Kazuya and Heihachi. Like, at the bare minimum. Like, if you were going to do that, you could have still had that. Like, you could have had Kazuya be about to kill Lee, and then Lars does his headbutt, Heihachi, PTSD thing. Mm-hmm. Like, that would have been fine.
Yep.
And here's where I get, like, really, like, let me cope type shit. It should have been Lars, Lee, Paul, and Asuka there defending Jin.
Yeah.
You
to make it more believable, yeah. I mean, Asuka direct counter.
Well, not just to make it more believable. Well, to make it more believable, number one, and then number two, because, Kazuya's nickname in T8 is the Cold-Blooded Oppressor. Paul's is Hot-Blooded Destroyer, and they still won't let them run the Fade again.
Yes.
Which is crazy. So, Paul doesn't have to, win or anything, or even, do particularly well.
Just as
in a perfect world,
that matters, yeah.
Yeah. In a perfect world, he'd hit him with a burning fist and maybe he, moves an inch or something before getting knocked away. And then, afterwards, you could have Paul be like, well, I was still able to make a move, so it's not impossible for me to still be his rival or whatever.
Yep. Essentially give him something to do other than the fucking stupid ass.
Yeah, other than all that nut shit he does.
Yeah, the fucking communist fight. Yep. No, I mean, yeah, pretty much agree with everything you said.
And then another thing I think it was a really odd decision to not have the two Kazamas go to Yakushima. Like it was right there and it's
it's just a waste of.
I mean, I don't want to drone on about that. Everybody. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people.
Everyone and their mother has complained about Asuka just being fucking useless. And my issue is that I don't do something with her or don't. Just stop making her take up screen time when this can be anything else.
I'm at the point where it's like as much as I would like for her to do something, I just don't buy it anymore.
You don't give a shit, yeah.
Yeah, it's not that I don't give a shit. It's just I'm I'm trying to hold out hope, but but when you give us a scene where she's sitting across from Jin with the Kazama family tree out and they still don't talk to each other, then what am I supposed to hold out hope for? Mm-hmm. Why are you bothering? I'm at the point where it's just retcon her being a Kazama.
Yep.
At that point. Either retcon her for being a Kazama or just drop her from the game or replace her with her dad or something so he can fight Feng Wei. Like, I don't know. Like, either do something or don't.
I feel that.
But I don't think they are. But if I was going to do anything with Asuka in the game, like, either, like I'd have her use the Kazama powers, but not overtly, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Like, if she stayed behind in the Coliseum against Kazuya, like, she could use it a little bit against him. Not enough to, like, do any serious damage, but enough for somebody else who's there, Reina, to be like, okay, maybe I should keep an eye on this girl.
Yep.
Like, just to tease, like, maybe that'll happen in the next game. It won't. It's going to be
it's gonna
Mishima's fighting each other
It's
again.
going to be Kazuya's redemption arc. I'm so excited.
No. Oh, my God.
Dude, I'm so excited for all you
I don't-
arguing. Are you kidding me?
I don't know. I don't want, like, I know it's going to happen. It's like watching a car crash in slow motion.
Yes.
Like, number one, I don't trust them I don't trust their writing ability to write a Kazuya redemption. And then another thing, it's like, if Kazuya gets redeemed, like, who's the villains around here?
Heihachi and Reina.
You feel me? But they tried to make Heihachi sympathetic last time. We're supposed to feel bad for the guy who threw his 5-year-old off a cliff.
Yeah. It's a beautiful
I'm not
story.
gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like Reina at all.
I don't
like
her
even a
either.
little bit.
I don't like her either.
Like, at first I thought she was boring, but now she's just confusing because they just can't seem to decide what her deal is. And it was so dumb. Because you had, I don't know if you saw Harada on Twitter around the time Heihachi was announced. He was like, well, we added Reina to hype up Heihachi returning. I'm like, well, why didn't you just put Heihachi in the game in the first place? Like, why would you make a character with 85% of Heihachi's moves to hype up that he's going to be back instead of just adding him?
The writers say and do a lot of things.
Now, they say and don't do a lot of things is more accurate. But I don't know. Like, I don't even know what they're going to do with her now. Like, just have her be Heihachi's, like, right-hand person or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I mean, pretty much that's.
I mean, probably. I guess either that or, like, I don't see them pushing her as the main villain over Heihachi. But I've had friends, like, suggest that she's going to be the villain, and then it's going to be Heihachi, Jin, and Kazuya having to stop her. And I'm just like, I don't see that happening. Like, at most, it's going to be Jin and Kazuya versus Heihachi and Reina, probably.
Yep. All right. So,
I don't know, man.
CR.
The game is like...
Good talk.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
Yep, no problem, no problem. Thank you for coming in and speaking your piece. I take it that everyone else is gone. So, y'all.
No problem. Sorry for being a little random.
Nah, you good, bro. I feel it. So, I'm gonna turn this shit off. Thank y'all for joining the stream. This, that, and the third, and I'll upload sometime, maybe, in a bit.